Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of The Awesome with Cody. As usual, I'm your host, Cody, and today we are continuing October's theme of awesome Halloween-type movies. So, for those folks following along at home, last week I talked about The Frighteners. This week I'll be talking about Lord of Illusions. Next week I'll be talking about Lost Boys. And the week of Halloween I will be talking about Beetlejuice. So, Lord of Illusions. You may ask yourself, what is that? Well, I'm going to explain to you. Lord of Illusions is a Clive Barker movie based on a short story he wrote called The Last Illusion. Last Illusion can be found in the Books of Blood. Volume 6, I believe, is what it's in, which was written a long time ago. Actually, I'll tell you right now. Books of Blood was written in where are you? It was a collection, so I can't remember what year. It was like 1980 something or other. No, maybe it was later than that. I can't remember when it was. It's a collection. 1984. I was right. 1984 to 1985. There are. I actually don't even know how many volumes there are. Is there six? Oh, there's 6. Okay, so 6. In it, you will find a lot of things. And actually, believe it or not, so the life of the life. Oh, I can't talk. The Life of Death, which was turned into a movie. I don't even know how many years ago. A bunch. How Spoilers Bleed, Twilight of the Towers, The Last Illusion on Jerusalem Street is the last one that's in there, and but those have all been turned into different things. The cool thing about this one, so Clive Barker, I guess I should jump into that. Clive Barker, for the folks who don't know, is the gentleman who created Hellraiser, the character Pinhead, as well as all the other Cenobites. He created Candyman, the movie. He did he wrote the first one, and I don't think he ever touched another one after that. He also produced the first one, but he did Hellraiser, Nightbreed, Candyman, obviously Lord of Illusions, the Midnight Meat Train are the biggest ones. Yeah. Then he had Book of Blood, which came out in 2009, that he's credited as writing, but I think it's more of based on that. And then, of course, later this year, actually in a couple weeks, if I'm not mistaken, Books of Blood, which is an anthology of a couple different of the short stories from that, will be out as well. So that's pretty cool. He's also made some video games, but he's written a bunch of novels. Like I said, the Hellraiser series, the first one, which is called The Hellbound Heart, which is actually the title of the reboot of the Hellraiser movies that'll be out someday. So the Hellraiser series actually has 3 books: The Hellbound Heart, The Scarlet Gospels, and Hellraiser: The Toll. I've only read the first one, and it is fucking crazy. And I really hope they do what happens in that book in the movie, the new movie, because that shit will be bonkers. And then, of course, Cabal, a book written in 1988, was actually turned into Nightbreed, the movie he wrote and directed way back in 1990. Yeah, 1990. And I actually have that book. I have not read it, though, so I can't really tell you what's different. But he wrote the movie as well as directed it, so I mean, I'm pretty sure it's probably pretty close. But anyhow, so that's Clive Barker. Clive Barker is pretty big dude in the horror scene. Even though he really has only done, like, directed wise, he's only directed 3 movies. He directed the first Hellraiser, Nightbreed, and of course Lord of Illusions. Written a ton. Underworld, Rawhead, Rawhead Rex. I can't talk, apparently. Of course, Hellraiser, Hellraiser 2, Hellbound. He wrote Nightbreed. He wrote Candyman, Lord of Illusions, Saint Sinner, the Midnight Meat Train, the Book of Blood, of course, credited for that. Dread, and of course, Hellbound Heart, which is based on the novel Hellbound Heart. So yeah, Clive Barker. He is well known for being a spooky dude, and is awesome. You know, whatever. And he won he won an Academy Award for writing the film Gods and Monsters, which, if you don't remember, Gods and Monsters is from 1998. It's a period drama. Anyways, had Brandon Fraser and a couple other people in it. But Ian McKellen was in it as well. But yeah, check that movie out. It's a really good movie too. But when I'm talking about that today, we are talking about Lord of Illusions. So in Lord of Illusions, we have a handful of recognizable actors. 2 definitely ones you'll recognize, and 1 or 2 you may be like, oh, that guy. So first up is Scott Bakula, who plays Harry D'Amour. Harry D'Amour is our hero. Also, the character Harry D'Amour not only is in Lord of Illusions and The Last Illusion in the books, he actually makes an appearance in, I want to say it's Hellraiser? Yes, I believe so. I want to say he was in Hellraiser as well. I can tell you. Hold, please. I will let you know right now. Because I had it pulled up at one point. But then I went away from it because, I'm dumb sometimes. Book of Blood, or Books of Blood, is the actual one. I believe if I go down here to where boom 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 do I can't remember where it was at. I had a note of it. My notes aren't good. Oh yeah. The Last Illusion was the first appearance of Harry D'Amour, who also appeared in writings alongside Pinhead. And I want to say it's like two of the he's in 2 of them, I think. I can't remember. But anyways, he was a recurring character in some of the Clive Barker stuff. I think he did more than just that. I can't remember all of them, but that's whatever. But that's cool. I think it's a cool little thing. He's a continuing or a crossover character amongst that world. Also, Scott Bakula. For the folks who don't know Scott Bakula, most notably, he played Sam Beckett in Quantum Leap, and he was Captain Jonathan Archer in Star Trek Enterprise, as well as right now, currently still on TV, he plays the lead in NCIS New Orleans as Special Agent Dwayne Cassius King Pride, and has been on that show, I think, since its inception. Yeah, because he was a special guest in NCIS, the OG one, but he's been the main role, and he's a producer on it since 2014. So yeah, since inception. Pretty cool. But I mean, Scott's been in a lot of stuff. One of my favorite sports movies. He's in that one. I say he's in that one, like which one I'm fucking talking about. But Necessary Roughness is the movie I'm talking about. You should look it up. It's hilarious. But he was also in Major League 3, right? Is that the third one? It's considered a spin-off, but it's I want to say it's the third movie they made. Yeah, it's the third film in the Major League series. But yeah, he's in that one. He plays the voice. I talked about it before. He plays the voice of Jake Gyllenhaal's character in Source Code. He's been in, a lot of American Beauty. He fired Kevin Spacey's character in that one. Most recently, he was in something called Basmati Blues. I have no idea what that is. But yeah, that's Scott Bakula, man. It's fucking Jonathan Archer and Sam Beckett. He's dope. Next up in the movie, in order of character importance, is Kevin J. O'Connor, who plays Philip Swan, our destined not to be good guy. He's been in a lot of things. Every time I see him in something, I'm like, yeah, that guy. He's from Lord of Illusions, and everyone looks at me like, what the hell's Lord of Illusions? A movie you should fucking watch. But he's been in so many things. Movie-wise, I mean, he's still making movies to this day, but most notably, I can't even say most notably, I mean, Lord of Illusions. He was in Amistad. He was in Gods and Monsters. He was in The Mummy, the Brendan Fraser one. He's the dude that steals the treasure and gets the scarabs all over him. That's him. That's that guy. He was in Van Helsing as Igor. He was Dr. Mindbender in the first G.I. Joe movie. Not that that's a great one to go by, but he was in that. Yeah, I mean, he's been in a lot of stuff, and he's super recognizable because his face is weird looking. He was in 6 episodes of Catch-22 on Amazon Prime. It was a good one. I saw him. I was like, oh, dude, it's the guy from Lord of Illusions. He was also in a Stephen King property done on Hulu called 11/22/63. He was referred to as the Yellow Card Man. He apparently was on 12 episodes of Chicago PD. Don't watch that show, so I don't know. I just saw that as, well, as I was doing the research for this. He was also in the short-lived Patrick Swayze television program called The Beast. He's been on Law & Order. Who hasn't? Both 2 versions of it, Criminal Intent and regular. He was in The Others. I didn't realize that. That's cool. NBC show. He was back in the day. He was on an episode of the original Hawaii Five-0. Should have brought him back for the newer one. Just as an homage, you know what I mean? But yeah, that's Kevin J. O'Connor. Recognizable character actor. Has been in a lot of different things. And you should check out those things. Oh yeah, Deep Rising, he was in that one too. You know, whatever. Pretty cool. Alright, next up is Famke Jensen, who plays Dorothea Swan, the married love interest of Kevin J. O'Connor's Philip Swan. Famke Jensen, most notably for 2 things, really, I always think about. One is she plays the original Jean Grey / Phoenix in the... I like to bring up the fact she's in 2 of those movies, but she's in several of those movies. But the first 2 she was in, and she was good in those. She's also played Ava Moore on Nip Tuck, which was awesome because she was amazing, and they made her a transsexual, which was crazy, but pretty fun. She's been in a lot of different things besides the X-Men movies and Nip Tuck. Movie-wise... she's been in so much stuff. Rounders, Maid, like I said, X-Men, X-Men 2, Hide and Seek. She was in Taken. She's the mom in Taken, the wife, I should say, to the daughter, but Liam Neeson's ex. Also in Taken 2 and in Taken 3. Spoiler, she dies in Taken 3, so if you don't know that, that's there you go. She's been in a lot of TV shows too. I mean, not a lot. I mean, she's been in more than I have, but like I said, she was in Ally McBeal. She was on 11 episodes of Nip Tuck. Hemlock Grove on the old Netflix. She was a main role in that for the 3 seasons they did, or 2 seasons they did, whatever it was. She was on 9 episodes of How to Get Away with Murder. Couple episodes of Super Mansion, Robot Chicken. She was a recurring role in The Blacklist, and the main role in a main role in The Blacklist Redemption, which is short-lived, only lasted like a season or something, like half a season, I don't know. But yeah, that's Famke Jensen. She's pretty dope. Next up is Daniel Von Bergen, I think is how you say his name. He plays William Nix in this, or as most people refer to him as Nix. He is our big baddie for the movie, sort of, kind of not. Doesn't matter. So Daniel von Bergen, I'm not too sure how to say his name, has been in a lot of things. Not most recently. Most recently, he unfortunately passed away in 2015. But up until that point, the last thing he really did was he did a movie called London Betty. Not that I've ever seen it before, but he plays a, if I'm not mistaken, he plays a cop or a cop-like person in a lot of different things. But he was Chief Grady in Super Troopers. So if you remember the movie Super Troopers, Brian Cox plays the chief of the Border Patrol or Highway Patrol, and Daniel Van Bargen plays the police chief Grady in that movie. He's also Sheriff Cooley in Oh Brother Wild Out Thou. He played a police chief in General's Daughter. Played Sheriff Jackson in Desert Blue. He played Pineview Sheriff Briscoe in The Postman. Warden Pendleton in Amistad. He, like I said, he plays a lot of cops and shit and military things and stuff throughout movies. So, and there could be a reason for that. I don't know what it is, but you know, I don't know if was he a cop in real life or something? I don't think so. No, I have no idea. But yeah, I mean, he's been a lot of different things, and you can look him up, and you can see he's been in a lot of stuff you've probably seen, both television wise and movie wise. Yeah, you know, that's it for him. Next up is these last couple are kind of bit parts in the movie. Well, one of them is actually a larger part, but and it doesn't matter. Next up is Vincent. I don't know how to say this last name. It's like Scavalli or something like that, or Scavalli. I'm not too sure. He plays Vinovich, a magician in this movie as well. He's been in a handful of things. I mean, Amadeus, People vs. Larry Flint, Man on the Moon, One Flew Over Cuckoo's Nest, Fast Times at Ridgemont High. He played Mr. Vargas. He played the organ grinder in Batman Returns. He was a ghost in Ghost, not the ghost, but he was a ghost in that. Yeah, man, he's been in a lot of different things. I mean, he was in Night Shift. He was in Three Ninjas. Multiples. Was he in multiples of those or just Knuckle Up? No, he's in multiples, right? I think he was. I don't remember. Johnny Dangerously. You guys remember that movie? Anybody? With Michael Keaton? Shit, that movie was rad. Anyways, I digress. A lot of different things, man. He's in the Hey Arnold movie, the voice, Mr. Bailey. Yeah, man. It's Vincent C.O.D.Y. I don't know how to say his name. I'm terrible with names in general. Next up after that would be Barry Dell Sherman, who plays Butterfield, who is the main bad guy in it, the antagonist throughout the actual movie itself. He, to me, is very unrecognizable in this movie, and when I looked up his credits, what else he's been in, I don't know. He's been in a few things. I just don't know what else he's been in. Other than I've seen him in stuff. I just can't think of who he is. But anyways, that's that. And then last but not least is Joel Sutton, who plays Valtini in this movie, or Valentine, something like that. Valentine. He's been in a lot of different things. He was in Three Ninjas for sure. The first one, I think. He was in the later on Alice in Wonderland, plays Man with Large Belly in Red Queen Court. So that's a fun one. He's done a bunch some voices in different things. Television-wise, he was in Deep Space Nine. He was in Next Generation, playing 2 different characters. Stargate SG-1, 10 episodes of Charmed. He was on Days of Our Lives. He was on Alias, Enterprise, an episode of Rosewood. Yeah, that's about it. And he was in video game voices as well. Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the new one that came out last year. He played the Wolf. But yeah, that's Joel Sutao. I don't remember how to say his name. But yeah, so Lord of Illusions is a pretty Clive Barker-ish movie. Has to do with magic and fucking death and gore. I'm gonna warn you right now, super bloody, super violent, but real fucking fun. It is a little dated. Some of the special effects are not great in this, but what can you say? A movie, made back in 1995, right? Yeah, 1995, which basically means it was probably made in 1994. MGM didn't really throw a lot of money at it. They threw $11 million, which is nothing nowadays. But basically, it's about this gentleman named Philip Swan, who, with help of 3 friends, goes to take down William Nix, who has become somewhat of a god. In this world that we live in, there are 2 forms of magic, or 2 types of magicians. One that does illusions, and one that does real magic, which has to do with demons and just really bad stuff in general. And so they go to stop him because he has kidnapped a child. They scuffle with him. They don't really know how to kill him because they don't think he can be killed, but they do find this relic that can bind the demon inside of him and keep him dormant, and they're going to bury him in the ground. They do so. 13 years later, the 3 people who helped Swan are mysteriously killed, sort of mysteriously killed. Scott Bakula's Harry Damour, witnesses one said killing, and goes after, basically tries to investigate what's going on, gets drug into this world of magic, which he's already kind of into because of a successful exorcism, which he got weirdly famous for, because everyone's like, oh, he's got to be a hoax or whatever, but he's, kind of on the ear of the supernatural community. He then gets the attention of Dorothea Swan, who hires him to help her with her husband, Philip Swan, who he believes someone's trying to kill him. So she hires Damour to basically, stop it. Or convince Philip that he's not being hunted down by somebody or something. In his last performance in LA, a trick goes wrong and he ends up dying. Philip Swan does. And then Harry is like, no, there's more to this. There's some skullduggery going on. The trick was sabotaged, and he goes after some truths. He runs into Butterfield again after witnessing the death of C.O.D.Y earlier, one of the members of Swan's little group that went after Nix. And you find out he's actually a character we saw in the beginning of the movie who is a very highly devoted servant to Nix, and he has been looking for him the last 13 years, but he knows he couldn't resurrect him, so he's been working and studying and learning different things, and now he knows how to do it, and so he needs to find out where Nix is buried. But every time he goes to ask somebody, one of the 3 other members besides Swan, they don't know. So he's also going after Swan. But when Swan has his accident, he believes that he's dead, and so he started going after other people, including Damour, including Dorothea, and also including Valentine, who is the assistant servant guy to Swan. Spoiler, they find out Swan's not dead. He faked his own death using magic. And then Harry has to convince him to help him. When he finally does, he goes back to his house, and it turns out that Dorothea and Valentine have been kidnapped by Butterfield. And Valentine knew the burial place of Nick's. They go there. They dig him up. He's not dead. Butterfield gets a chance to resurrect him. He uses his tools to take the binding gear off. When that happens, Damore and Swan are late to get there. He's already been resurrected, and they have a fight, knockout and drag out fight with him in their old compound, along with all his followers who have a really horrific death during that. And spoiler alert, they win. But that's it. Right now, if you want to watch Lord of Illusions, it is on Amazon Prime, is where I watched it with Paige tonight. And so you can watch it there too. If you have a chance to get the director's cut, which I have not seen in a long time, it has another 12 and a half minutes in it. It's just over 2 hours. Literally like a minute over 2 hours. In it, all it is, it has more graphic scenes in it. There's more blood in a couple different scenes. There's a sex scene between Scott Bakula and Famke Jensen, who you don't really get to see them bang in this, but then the director's cut you do. A little more, not like full-on penetration, but you get to see the sexy stuff. There's a couple extra dialogue scenes. The reason they were cut out because MGM's like, it drags too long. I mean, whatever. So if you can find that one, there's a couple more violent scenes in it, a couple more extra dialogue scenes, and some backstory that they deemed not necessary to have in there. But anyways, that's it for this week's episode of The Awesome with Cody. Again, we were talking about Lord of Illusions, and next week, tune back in for another episode where I will be talking about Lost Boys. But, like I always say at the end of these, let's be awesome.